What aura, energy, vibes have to do with the content of our information, of our thoughts and emotions? Do we imprint any kind of information that is a kind of quality to the life energy we emanate all the time? I am Wagner Allegretti, one of the instructors and researchers of the IAC, International Academy of Consciousness. And in this short live talk here now, I would like to discuss with you a little bit about what we call our personal energy field. So I suppose all of you are familiar with the concepts, the idea of prana, chi, organ, life force. So most of the people accept the idea, or they have their personal experience or theoretical knowledge of all life producing a kind of field around of it. And many times this field behaves like a flowing energy. Many times behaves more like a source of information, but more than just a theoretical curiosity about the nature of reality and even the nature of ourselves. This has many different kind of practical applications in our normal daily life. But let us start discussing a little bit about consciousness. It's a very complex subject, and many times consciousness is seen only as a property or a state of something, like a person or a brain being conscious. But many times we see consciousness as a kind of entity, a substract. So what we really are is a being. So all of us are multidimensional consciousnesses beyond the body, matter, energy, time, and perhaps most of these concepts, these kind of influences we can feel here. So if you think of you as something beyond the space, matter, time, energy, how do we connect to a physical body like this? It's exactly through this life force, this biofield, these energies. So certainly, we think that we have a big amount, a big supply of energy everywhere, the whole universe, the earth, plants, water, and the atmosphere, everything and from everywhere. But this is a kind of natural energy, an energy without a particular kind of information. But as we absorb this energy, and as we use this energy for every and any kind of action, thinking, any manifestation from us, we are transforming this natural energy into a kind of human or consciousness energy, energy with some information in it. And certainly this is not only exclusive to us, human beings, but to any kind of life form that we know. But certainly, or perhaps probably, we could think that we humans could have a more complex kind of information characteristic that we imprint into this energy, because we can have many different forms of thoughts, logical, practical, abstract, concrete. We have so many different emotions, and even more than emotions, we have feelings, we have sentiments. So according to our memories, our previous history, according to the way we think, our style, ethics, according to the way we feel, temperament, we imprint a particular kind of average type of information of energy into everything that we do. But certainly, as we have many different thoughts, many different sentiments, there is a kind of variation over time. But there is something that identifies each of us. As many times people can recognize our voice, they can recognize our way of speaking, the style we write. Sometimes people can even recognize us by our smell. It's possible to identify someone or a consciousness by his, her, or its consciousness energy. So I suppose you have heard of concepts like aura or energy field. Some people have heard or have read about some specific ways of registering the energy field around of us through some devices, sometimes taking some pictures since the 1960s, and nowadays with more modern devices, of course. But more than this, sometimes people can have a particular, sometimes natural, sometimes trained, kind of ability, perception to see this energy, a form of clairvoyance. And one of the best ways, perhaps the easiest ways, is sometimes just looking at our hands with a kind of a neutral color background, perhaps gray, sometimes even against the sky, and we can see a kind of a field around of our hand. Sometimes this field moves expands, contracts, vibrates. Sometimes this field has different colors, but more than just colors, it has many different regimes of movement or flow. In some particular moments, we are predominantly absorbing energy. So there is more a flow of energy coming from outside to inside of us. If we are very relaxed, if we are in a natural site, perhaps by the sea, in other moments, when we are expressing ourselves, when we are working, we are writing something, there is more the tendency for us to expand our energy, to transmit, emit energy. Even more when we use our energies to help someone, like in a healing session, or sometimes to cleanse the energies of a particular space. Sometimes what we can do is to move, intensify, agitate this energy inside of us without causing, provoking, or allowing energy to come in or energy to go out. And one of the ways, one of the perhaps most effective ways we have to do this is what we call the velo, is a movement of energy along our body in which we control the amount of energy, its speed or frequency, until we can create a kind of a resonance that can be felt as something very real. It's a kind of climax of vibrations, a very pleasant thing. But returning to the idea of us having such an individualized, such a specific energy field, this explains why sometimes we have a natural tendency to couple, to connect, to resonate more with certain people, perhaps with some animals, perhaps some pets, not so much others. Some people prefer to have this kind of connection with nature, not so much with people. Sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes some people, mediums, they have a natural tendency to couple, to connect with non-physical consciousnesses. So if you think of you, your style, your way of being, your interests, try to think what kind of synchronicities you tend to trigger around of you. And I suppose you know that sometimes people say, once you put something in your mind, many times the universe conspires to help you or to bring those things to you. But sometimes it's even the opposite. Sometimes when we think of doing something, even very good, sometimes we can feel such an opposition against that because it seems in the environment where we are, there is not so much of the similar kind of vibe or resonance. It's very difficult, for instance, to change tradition or something that is very settled, accepted for a long time. And perhaps as a whole society is still very conservative. It's difficult to change. But suppose, for instance, if we want to go beyond only our instinctive animal side, what can we do with these energies? Can we tune our thoughts, our sentiments to more non-physical things, or perhaps you would say like spiritual goals, themes, subjects? Yes, that's certainly possible. And suppose another way of thinking about that. What about karma? This kind of natural law of action and reaction. So as people say, what we do tend to come back to us in a neutral way, being good things, bad things, or just neutral. So could that be also a result of the particular kind of energy field we create around of us? Because I was mentioning before that many times we have connections with people, pets, nature, but also establish a kind of resonance, auric coupling, a kind of morphic resonance, as it is discussed by some people, with ideas, with movements, with concepts. So how do we resonate with human rights, with science, with so many movements going on nowadays? Some very good, no, they should be applauded, and others not so good. We should be trying to out-evolve them, so go beyond them. So we think, well, sometimes we have a tendency, at least for a particular period of time, to have some accident proneness. Could that be a result of our karma, previous thoughts and ideas and sentiments, actions from the past, or that particular time? Sometimes we have a particular period of good luck in which it seems everything or a lot of good things happen to us, good synchronicities, could that be a result of the way we think, of our ethics, for instance, our personal principles? And in this very particular, critical, interesting phase of humanity history right now, with so many things going on, we cannot even start listing all of them. But with so many things now, with human rights, with the COVID-19, with crisis of our ecosystem, the way we interact with nature, it seems we need new models, new forms of organizing ourselves. And in fact, this comes from new ways of thinking, new ways of resonating, new ways of developing personal principles. So instead of being in this polarization, in this binary spectrum, right or wrong, try to think about intermediate levels, but we have to restudy that. What is more right? What is more wrong? Or less right, less wrong? Because when we think of our out-of-body experiences, when we go out of the body in some of our projections, we see that the consequences of what we think, the way we think, the way we feel, are very immediate. In a way, would be almost like what people sometimes call instant karma. Here in our physical life, sometimes instant karma can happen. We can even see some interesting, funny videos in YouTube, but they would be more like an exception. But out of the body, the way we think, we will attract happenings, situations, and even some other non-physical consciousnesses. If you think in a very high transcendental way, you are going to attract the attention, to bring to you some more evolved consciousnesses. But if we are not so ethical with the way we think, the way we manifest ourselves, many times we don't have the best of our companies. So then think about every aspect of your life: love life, family life, the work life, your intimate life, with your own thoughts and ideas during the night, your dreams, your creativity. What is coming out of all those different spheres of the manifestations of you or the human being, the human life? Mostly positive things, neutral, very difficult, challenging situations. So can we change this? Of course. But this takes time. It's important to say there is no magic, or miracle here. But let us start with two basic aspects. One is what we were discussing, the quality of our energy. But then we have to change ourselves. There is no way of just disguising what we really are. There is no way of faking, cheating with that. But the other aspect we can develop is our intentional control of the energy. So we can control the intensity of our energies. For instance, when we transmit energy, we can couple more or less with other people at will, and with the environments where we go, where we stay. Sometimes we go to places and we want to couple as little as possible with those places because they're not very positive. Or the same with people. Sometimes we don't want to couple, to fuse energetically with some people, but in other situations, yes, we can allow that. But then, what kind of synchronicities, ideas we trigger? So inspirations, so good intuitions, or negative thoughts, intrusive feelings or sentiments. So now that we are, again, touching on this, living these very strange times, is very difficult and very important for us to avoid being intruded or affected by this external energy. So we have to take care of our own personal field of energy. We can control this up to a certain time, up to a certain point, within a particular space. But sometimes to really change that deeply takes time. We don't change our core so quickly, so easily. Because if we have eons and eons of life, past history behind us, if we think of past lives, wow, all of that is still here, is still in a way alive inside of us. we have a kind of energy patterns, energy information, thoughts and sentiments. They're almost like fossilized. We have to change that to see if we can go deeper in some of the changes we want to make, because we are so prone to repeating same patterns, to have automatized behaviors. So this requires lucidity, awareness, a lot of consciousness on everything that we do. We pay attention to our physical actions, to our physical senses, but then what if we can expand that to our energy actions? Do we affect other people, the place where we are? What about thinking about the intensity of our actions? Like in normal life, sometimes we have to be subtle, we have to be gentle, sometimes we have to be hard. Can we adjust that? But besides this idea of the intensity of the energy, we can control many other factors, and certainly we would need more time for that, but we can change the frequency, the rhythm, direction, pulsation, and so many other different factors. And if you want, in IAC, the International Academy of Consciousness, we have many different courses that bring this kind of ideas, and even with personal training. So here through Facebook, you can check the page of the International Academy of Consciousness to know what we are doing about that. And then now we are just coming with a new course that we call Energo Fitness, like energy fitness, because we think of a fitness as being something important, not only for the physical body, being healthy, strong, at the peak performance, but also what about our energy body? Because consciousness is beyond space, matter, time, energy, as we said. But to connect to the physical body, we have a kind of intermediate interface body made of energy, the energy body. But are we well developed, fit, strong with that energy body? Or do we have some level of atrophy, so lack of development of that energy body? So this is something very important for us. So as we think of the fitness of the physical body, good training, exercise, sleep, good nutrition, could we have the same or the analogous aspects for the energy body? Do we have a kind of a very good energy nutrition of the energy body? Do we have a routine of training with our energies that would be similar to kind of a muscular fitness? So come back to the IAC page in Facebook and even iacworld.org. You are going to see later here in the description, and you can have more information about that. So this is what we can do now with this little time here, and I would like to thank you very much for your time. And in IAC website and YouTube, you can find a lot of information about energy. A lot of our content is available for free. Some know more deeply are charged, because this is the way we have to sustain our activities and our research. One day I can discuss with you a particular research I have on registering, detecting energy in a very laboratorial way, in a very objective way, using mostly functional MRI, so magnetic resonance. So I have some interesting experiments in transmitting energies to eggs, water, potato, people, and see what happens when they are inside of those medical machines. Very interesting stuff. But what I can say now is that that is basically a way of showing that this energy is objective, is real. In a way, is as real as electricity, as real as light, even if most of the people cannot feel them. Okay? So, thank you very much again, and I hope this was worthwhile. Study more, research, and practice, because you can enrich your life. You are going to make your life deeper and more interesting. Thanks again. All the best. Bye.